we don't want patients to suffer, so we don't want the GPs to be going on strike. But, Mr. Speaker, we are proud of what we did in the NHS. More doctors, more nurses, cutting the waiting list, and it's always the same. Labour builds up the NHS and the Tories drag it down. Now, today he's saying that he's 100% behind the government's health plans. But it's a different story in his own constituency, isn't it? Last month, the Foreign Secretary took to the streets, marching in protest against the NHS cuts. And let's remind ourselves of what the Prime Minister said about midwives. Just before the general election, the Prime Minister wrote for the Sun newspaper, because professionally, of course, they were all in it together, and he said in the Sun, he said, "We will increase the number of midwives by 3,000. Can he confirm they've broken their promise on midwives?
I am glad she says GPs should be at work tomorrow, because she should tell that to her own spokesman, the Honourable Lady for Hackney North and Stoke Newington, who said she had a lot of sympathy with the BMA and there'd be a lot of public support for the action that they are taking. So there is a clear division across the floor of the House. We are proud of what's happened in the National Health Service when we look at average waiting times for both inpatients and outpatients are lower than at the last general election. That the best performance ever has now been attained for patients waiting after 18 weeks to be treated, that the total number of qualified clinical staff is higher than at the election, that there are 3,900 more doctors since the election, and that hospital infection levels are at their lowest levels since surveillance of them began.
He never answered the question about midwives, because before the election, the Leader of the Opposition was all, yes, we can. As soon as he became Prime Minister, it's no, we can't. Yeah. Services rationed, patients suffering, and public satisfaction at a new low. That's the Tories on the NHS. The Prime Minister once told us he could sum up his priority in 3 letters. NHS. Isn't it more like LOL? Yeah.
It obviously took a long time to think of that one.